Hey, it's me, Vicki Marie. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in this crazy world we're living in. So, I just want to give you some information that you may or may not have heard, because this actually happened on September the 9th, but I've only just really seen confirmation of it. And this is going back to the John George case. So John George, 37-year-old, went on holiday from Northern Ireland, went on holiday to Spain, and basically disappeared, went missing. His family had to come over and look for him. They'd heard that something had happened to him. They were searching for him for weeks, all over Christmas, all over New Year last year. Really a terrible thing to have to do, to search for your son's body, because they had been told that he was dead. Anyway, basically what happened was eventually John's body was found miles away from where this poor family had been searching, because they hadn't even been told the right place to search for his body. So they'd been on a wild goose chase. They'd had some searchers over from Northern Ireland, some professional searchers, but they were all looking in the wrong place, so they had no chance of ever finding John. Anyway, finally John was found, and the family got that awful news, that they were expecting, but still must have been horrible to actually get the news that John's body had been found. And he had been brutally murdered. He had been stripped, he had been stabbed, he had been shot twice, and just dumped unceremoniously in a lemon grove in Rojales, in the Alicante area of Spain. A really, really horrible case. And this case is, there's a lot of other things sort of going on. I mean, John had been involved in drugs and, got in, I suppose, with the wrong people. I mean, it's unclear really why he was murdered, to be honest. Whether it was as a result of drugs deals, or whether it was just an altercation between him and there are two main suspects in this case. Michael Malley, who was bailed because he's been cooperating with the police, and then of course Johnny Smyth, who went on the run immediately, and then married his girlfriend Madison while he was on the run in Gibraltar, went off to Portugal, and that's where the police found him. Or was it John's family that found him there and told the police where he was? Anyway, whatever the reason was, he was found and brought back, and he was not given bail, probably as a result of the fact that he'd done a runner once and they didn't want him to do a runner again. So that was really the situation as it stood. John is in prison, awaiting trial, in custody anyway. I'm not sure exactly where he is. Michael Malley is free, but he has his bail conditions that he has to comply with. And we're just waiting for the court case to come up, and then justice for John George. Somebody killed him. Even if it's not clear yet exactly who killed him, somebody did. Somebody knows, probably more than one person knows exactly who killed John. And then Johnny Smith's girlfriend, Madison, who you may remember, she is an OnlyFans model as well. She's a very young girl. This is something that I feel really uneasy with. She's so young. She's only 19. Don't know if she's had a birthday. She may be 20 now, but she's a very, very young girl, very, very attractive girl. She's an OnlyFans model, and she is now Johnny Smith's, I say, his girlfriend. She's his wife now. They are married. So the sort of update, if you like, or the development that I'm going to tell you about is really more about her than about John George and Johnny Smith or Michael Malley. And this basically is that Madeleine, she herself has now been arrested for drug possession. Not just a little spliff, but, massive amounts of drugs. She was stopped by the Guardia Civil. Let's have a look at the article that's been in the local newspaper. A little bit dramatic, but sex, drugs and murder. Lover of accused killer busted with a kilo of crystal meth in Torrevieja. So this is Madeline, very, as I say, very attractive girl. This is Johnny Smyth, who's in custody at the moment. So from seductive online model to partner of an accused killer, and now caught red-handed with nearly a kilo of meth. The shocking story of 20-year-old, so she's 20 now, a Belfast-born OnlyFans star keeps getting darker by the day. The glamorous young woman, best known for selling explicit content on subscription platform OnlyFans, is also the girlfriend of British. She's the wife now. She is the wife. They must have forgotten that, as they did get married in Gibraltar. Of Johnny Smyth, jailed for the brutal execution of Northern Irishman John George, whose lifeless body was discovered in a lemon grove in Rocales last January. Now she herself is making headlines for all the wrong reasons. So in the early hours of September the 8th, not the 9th, Guardia Civil officers in Torrevieja pulled her over during a routine traffic stop on the busy N332 highway. Now, do you know, I mean, I'm a nervous wreck every time I go out. For anyone who knows me, I live in Spain as well. There's always police everywhere. As I've said often, the one thing you can say about Spain is they're not short on police. Every time I just take the dogs out for a walk, or, go to the supermarket, I don't think I've ever go out and don't see police. They're not always pulling people over, but often they are. They just do random stops here and there. And, I personally like that, because it makes you feel safer to see the police around and everything. It's hard to explain, and I always feel, where it's like when you have the police behind you, that was it. Was it last night? I think it was, or the night before, it was last night, driving back from picking my son up. There were police behind us, and, even though you're not doing anything wrong, you always feel sort of uncomfortable, don't you? So if I had a kilo of crystal meth in my car, God, I can't imagine. But anyway, so that's apparently one of the things that Madison had in her car. So Madison was behind the wheel with a 22-year-old British friend in the passenger seat, a girl. Quickly caught the officer's attention. Both women looked jittery and nervous, and Madison was spotted attempting to hide something down her trousers. Now, I need to just make it clear, I'm reading out the Leader newspaper, which is a sort of a newspaper local to the area where all this is happening, or Abuela Costa. So I'm literally reading what they're saying. So a search turned up several grams of crystal God, I don't even want to try and say that. Crystal meth in her possession, along with €105 in cash. Her companion was clean of drugs, but was carrying €685. And the real shock came when officers tore apart the car. 2 small bags of hashish and meth, plus a massive stash of 960 grams of crystal meth hidden between the back seats. Street value tens of thousands of euros. Now, I heard as well that she had a lot more marijuana than that, but 30 grams of cannabis. Would that be right? I don't know. I don't know anything about drugs, so I have no idea how it works out. Anyway, both women were cuffed on the spot. So the street value of these items was tens of thousands of euros. Both women were cuffed on the spot. The drugs and vehicle were seized, and Madison's carefully curated online image crumbled in an instant. In court, Madison gave a dramatic and bizarre explanation. She claimed she had been threatened at gunpoint just 2 days earlier by a mysterious man who showed her photos of her mother and brother and warned that they'd be harmed if she didn't comply. According to Madison, she was ordered to pick up a large white bag from Oruella Costa and deliver it to a shop in Torrevieja. But before she could, police stopped her. The judge, however, did not buy that tale, calling her version hard to believe. Initially, Madison was locked up, and this is, so sad, really, because she is only 20 years old, locked up in prison. Supposedly, because she gets her and her husband, Johnny, they get conjugal visits, and supposedly she's hoping to have a baby, but you just think that, it's not very nice for the baby, is it? If the father's in prison awaiting trial, and then Madison was in prison as well. I mean, honestly, I do feel for myself. I feel of her. I know she's got her own choices and she's doing her own thing, and that's her right to do, isn't it? But just seems so young to be doing all these things. You just think that if by 20 all this has happened to you, what's going to happen by the time she's 30? So within 10 days, she was out again after posting €20,000 bail, thanks to her legal team. But the court has slapped her with restrictions. This would be a bit like Michael Malley. She can't leave Spain. She's had to hand over her passport, and she must report to the court twice weekly, according to this article. So she has always defended her boyfriend Johnny on social media, insisting he is innocent of killing John George, even as the victim's grieving family accused her of covering for him. And the pair were caught earlier this year in Portugal after fleeing Spain. Once seen as just another glamorous OnlyFans model, Madison's name is now tied to a deadly cocktail of sex, drugs and murder. From steamy content to high-stakes crime, her downfall is playing out like a tabloid crime saga. And Spain's Guardia Civil is making sure every move she makes is watched. Now, I think that is probably likely that they are watching her. Do you think they were watching her that night and when she went out in the early hours of the morning or whenever it was? Or do you think, they followed her? Or do you think maybe it was just a routine stop? Because they do often just, go out there, and if they don't like the look of a car or whatever, just stop them. They don't seem to need a reason to stop people. Yeah, they were arrested, weren't they? Or he was arrested. He was extradited to Spain earlier this year after having been arrested in Braga in Portugal. So, it feels like Madison, she's tied her fate to this man. To me, whenever, because she's done quite a lot of videos with him, and there's been text release and things I've seen, and I think Madison is totally in love with Johnny. I hope he's in love with her as well. But she's a young girl. Young girls are easily impressed, aren't they, by money and by sort of sometimes bad boys, etc. So I would say that Madeline is definitely besotted with Johnny. Now, she's made a few, she's been back on TikTok, which she hadn't been on for a while. Made some, I'm not going to show the videos, but she has made some. Well, the last video was sort of quite bewildering, really, because it talks about shooting a man and things. So, she does a lot of these lip syncs to songs. And, you know, sometimes sort of, what do you think, is that a deliberate sort of bait to John George's family? Why would you do that? Why would you put a song on like that, lip sync to a song about killing a man, shooting someone after what happened to John? But so, yeah, I don't understand, you know, the motivation between things like that. You know, I don't know what happened. You know, I don't know who killed John, or I wasn't there, and I presume Madeline knows exactly what happened, but maybe she doesn't. But then why do these? I don't understand why do these sort of baiting things. You know, at the end of the day, somebody's dead. Somebody's dead. You know, whether he was a good person, a bad person, he wasn't a perfect person, but his family loved him. And it wouldn't matter if it was him, if it was Johnny, if it was, you know, you can never be happy about somebody being dead and a family suffering. Surely, you know, it's bad in all circumstances, because although John George, even his own family admit he wasn't a saint, but he'd never done anything like that. You know, he hadn't killed anybody. So yeah, it's a bit beyond me. But anyway, I thought I'd give you the update. So, you know, you just feel that this is all going to have some sort of very bad outcome. It's already a bad outcome because somebody's dead, but you feel like it's going to have an even worse outcome, don't you? But anyway, just thought I'd let you know. So thank you and goodbye. And may your God go with you.